Stephen Kevin Bannon was born on November 27, 1953, in Norfolk, Virginia, into a family of modest means. His father worked for AT&T, his mother kept the home. The household was working class, devoutly Catholic, and disciplined. Young Steve was intelligent, driven, and combative, a strategist even as a boy. He earned a degree from Virginia Tech and later an MBA from Harvard Business School, a rare feat for someone of his background. He had the raw material of a leader: intellect, energy, persistence, traits that, when guided by integrity, define a Spartan. But Bannon's path would diverge: ambition untempered by principle, strategy compromised by self-interest. His early career at Goldman Sachs gave him access to capital and elite networks. He learned the architecture of modern power, how influence flowed through money, information, and perception. When he founded his own investment firm and entered Hollywood financing, he began to grasp how narratives could shape societies as much as markets. The seeds of the propagandist were planted there. Bannon was no mere financier. He was a tactician seeking to weaponize story and ideology. By the mid-2000s, he had discovered the true engine of influence: media. He took over Breitbart News after the death of its founder, Andrew Breitbart, and turned it into a global platform for nationalist populism. Under his stewardship, Breitbart amplified the anger of America's disaffected classes while serving the ideological goals of its billionaire patrons, particularly Robert and Rebecca Mercer, financiers who also backed data mining operations like Cambridge Analytica. Though Breitbart preached America first, its backers maintained global financial and political interests, including strong alignment with pro-Zionist agendas abroad. The contradiction was obvious. The nationalist warrior's trumpet was funded by transnational wealth. Bannon's genius lay in converting resentment into narrative power. He became a key architect of Donald Trump's 2016 victory, translating cultural anxiety into political momentum. His war room mentality, honed at Harvard and Goldman Sachs, was unleashed in politics. He viewed elections as battlefields, ideology as weaponry. To many followers, he seemed the embodiment of a modern Spartan: disciplined, calculating, unafraid. But the true Spartan endures hardship for the collective good. Bannon's battles increasingly served himself. The cracks began to show in his dealings with money. In 2020, federal prosecutors charged Bannon with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering in the We Build the Wall campaign, a fundraising venture claiming to support private construction of a U.S.-Mexico border wall. Millions were raised from ordinary Americans. Prosecutors alleged Bannon and his associates siphoned funds for personal use. While President Trump pardoned him in 2021 before trial, state charges in New York followed. In February 2025, Bannon pleaded guilty to a felony count of scheme to defraud and received a conditional discharge, barred from operating nonprofits or using donor data again. For a man who once styled himself as a defender of the working class, the symbolism was devastating. He had stolen from the very people who trusted him most. This pattern of ethical collapse continued. In July 2022, Bannon was convicted of 2 counts of criminal contempt of Congress after defying a subpoena from the House January 6th committee. He refused to testify or hand over documents concerning the attack on the U.S. Capitol. He was sentenced to 4 months in federal prison and began serving that term in July 2024. It was a rare moment of accountability for a man who had long manipulated systems without consequence. The strategist who once preached law and order stood convicted of defying it. Bannon's associations cast further shadows over his legacy. His involvement with Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex offender whose social and political connections extended into global intelligence circles, added another layer of moral corrosion. Bannon admitted recording extensive interviews with Epstein in the years before his death and kept them private. Epstein's reported ties to intelligence services, including the CIA and Mossad, have been widely cited in multiple investigations and books. For a man claiming to defend Christian morality and national sovereignty, maintaining links with a figure as compromised as Epstein represented an unbridgeable hypocrisy. By this stage, Bannon had become an international agitator, consulting with far-right movements in Europe, building networks in Italy, Hungary, and beyond. He styled himself a global populist revolutionary, advising leaders while preaching anti-elite revolt. Yet behind the rhetoric was a pattern of grift. Media ventures, think tanks, and fundraising projects that consistently collapsed into legal turmoil or self-promotion. The myth of the ascetic warrior had curdled into the reality of the profiteer. The Spartan ideal, loyalty, courage, sacrifice, demands internal discipline. It demands the subordination of self to purpose. Bannon possessed intellect and cunning, but little restraint. His battlefield was information. His casualties were truth and trust. He wielded ideology as a blade, not to defend the people, but to control them. His followers believed he fought for the common man. Court records tell another story. Bannon's imprisonment in 2024 and fraud conviction in 2025 mark a poetic inversion of his creed. The man who sought to lead a cultural revolution became ensnared by his own duplicity. His rhetoric of rebellion against corruption masked the corruption within. To the end, he cast himself as persecuted, the misunderstood strategist undone by elites. But the evidence speaks plainly. The deception was his own making. A true Spartan does not manipulate his comrades or exploit the vulnerable. He acts with discipline even when unseen, and with integrity even when unpraised. Bannon, for all his intellect, lacked that core. He mistook cleverness for courage, manipulation for mastery. The result is a cautionary tale, a mind capable of greatness, undone by greed. Stephen Bannon stands today as the embodiment of the paper Spartan, outwardly formidable, inwardly hollow. His legacy is not one of disciplined service, but of opportunism disguised as conviction. His strategies built movements, but his ethics eroded them. The edifice he raised on populist fury now serves as a monument to self-betrayal. Order the Spartan Mindset today and embark on your journey toward becoming the leader your world needs. Let your struggles forge you into a warrior of character and resolve. The Spartan Mindset provides a comprehensive and actionable guide to personal development and resilience. Available now for just $19.99. Purchase your copy from the links in the description box below and on this channel's homepage. Because your future begins with the right mindset. The Spartan Mindset.